Hi, my name is Joanie'S. Welcome to my channel. Please go to my website, jonieswhitelighealing.com, for more information about me. I am a psychic, a medium, a healer, and a spiritual counselor. If you're interested in having a session with me, please contact me through my website. I do in-person sessions for folks who are local to North Central New Jersey, and I also offer Skype, Facebook video, FaceTime, and phone sessions. They are equally effective to in-person. I used to be a therapist, and I did not believe in any of this until the gifts came in around 2003, 4, 5. And here I am. I do this professionally. I love what I do. I'm here to assist with the awakening of humanity. So with that being said, I decided to do another video on codependence. And I wrote down right below here, my cheat sheet, what I am titling it. The Great Rescue. Is Codependence the movie on your marquee? So, when I was in high school, I took Psych 101, and there was no mention of the term codependence. When I was in college, I took some psychology courses and counseling courses. There was no mention of codependence. When I was in my Master of Social Work program, there was no mention of codependence. There was a term dependent personality disorder, but there was no term codependence. I received a certificate in Gestalt therapy training in the late 80s, early 90s. And there was not a focus on codependence. This term came out later in my life. It became more popular when I learned that there was a 12-step group called Codependence Anonymous. And there are books that are written about codependence, and people started throwing this term out. I was reading in the early 2000s spiritual material as I was awakening, and I came across a channeling about the rescuer-victim drama, which is one of the most popular dramas that we could engage in Earth School, in this reality. And it involves one soul that is trying to rescue the other soul from pain, from conflict, from being a victim. And that was the closest thing that I've read in the spiritual literature regarding codependence without having the term codependence ascribed to it. Now, what's wrong with codependence? What is codependence? Why do I talk about it? Because I think it's almost like a disease now. I feel that so many people are engaged in this behavior that it warrants my sharing more about it again. My belief about codependence is that it is a soul's urge or compulsion, their feeling of obligation that is self-appointed, to make sure that another soul, whether it be an animal or a person or an institution, a group, a community, not experience discomfort. It's a way of rescuing, of saving, and then that person feels better because they are saving or rescuing other. Does the other party ask for it? Sometimes they do. Is it beneficial for a person to be saved or rescued? Well, I believe it has to do with the circumstances. Could it take a toll on the rescuer? Sure. If the person is focusing more on other than self, if it's unsolicited and they go past a boundary and are getting involved in something they weren't asked to do. And especially if they are not allowing the other soul to experience discomfort for soul growth opportunity. What about on the other side, the soul that's receiving the rescuing? They could get rescued. That feels great, doesn't it? On paper, it looks really good. Might they start jonesing towards that person for more? Sure, if that person was there that time, they could look to that person to keep rescuing them. What happens if they're not looking to rescue themselves and they're looking for that external help over and over again? Isn't that like spoiling someone where they don't have to do anything and they just keep reaping the rewards and feeling that they're on top of the world with no pain? Also, the deep part of this is that that soul doesn't experience discomfort. Now, if they need to be saved from war, torture, rape, whatever the case, if they need to be rescued from a flood, pulled out of a monetary situation, if there's safety involved, relational, whatever it may be, one has to use their discretion. But the deep part of this, which people need to consider, is there's a spiritual aspect to why a person would be experiencing pain, why they would find themselves in a tough, painful situation. Now, it could be anything from a hangnail to being tortured or facing their own death. Whatever the case, a soul pre-birth plans often to put several obstacles on their path in order to experience the pain and the conflict so they can grow. So if they are at the receiving end of a rescue and it was pre-birth planned for them to actually experience it without a rescue, the rescuer is actually blocking their fulfilling their soul growth contract. Now, not everything is pre-birth planned. You might have a post-incarnation free will situation where you found yourself in this painful conflict, straits, whatever the case. Even if it's not pre-birth planned, many a time the soul needs to go through this in order to grow. So now we've got that term enabling. And we also have the term collusion. So enabling is allowing the person, by rescuing them via codependence, to continue to perpetuate their not feeling discomfort. A lot of times when people don't feel discomfort because another is enabling them, they continue with bad habits, poor thinking, not changing and growing and moving up in their frequency or vibration, healing, getting better. That's why we're here, folks. We love spiritual growth and we want to experience a challenge so we can actually get through it and get to the other side. We get stronger, we have a higher perspective, and then that also solidifies it. It grounds us. Oh, wow, I went through that. I got through that. I could do it again. Or if something's even harder, well, I did that, so I bet I can do this bigger. I can get through this worse, this bigger thing. Enabling. Enabling is very common. It becomes part of the rescuer victim drama. Also, collusion. What is collusion? Collusion is where you go along with something. So if just by your allowing, permitting, without interference, just by your joining with them, in that you're enabling, you are providing the nurturance of whatever is keeping them from facing their pain and working through the conflict. So the key terms here for you to look up if you're not familiar is codependence, enabling, and collusion. COLLUSION. Now I want to tell the story about saving the earthworm. My son was very young, early elementary school, and it was a hot summer day, and we were out front, and there was an earthworm that made its way onto the blue stone sidewalk, the pathway in the front of the house, and it was dying. So the heat from the sun was scorching it, and I had a choice. Do I let this soul die, or do I find a stick and pick it up and move it into the grass? And in that moment, I decided I was going to rescue the earthworm. Now, did this earthworm plan to die of, of burning on a stone? I don't know. But I made a quick decision. And why did I do that? I was role modeling for my son about compassion and considering that all souls are alive and we have the power to assist. And my son watched, and I found a stick. And this earthworm grabbed the stick, held on, and I moved it over into the grass, and it disappeared into the cool earth. Now my son is 23, and we talk about it, and he remembers vividly about saving the earthworm. Is he a codependent? No. Am I a codependent? No. Why do I share this story? One might come back and state, well, does that mean you let everyone drown? You don't help them out with buying them a meal at a store if they're starving, etc.? No. One must use their discernment. One needs to go inside and ask themselves, why am I doing this? Do I do this a lot? Am I focusing on rescuing myself first? It is paramount that a soul heals self first. Now, does that mean that if you aren't doing that and someone is drowning, that you don't drown them because you haven't focused on yourself first? No. We're talking about a healing journey here. It is important for you to put the oxygen mask on yourself and go on your spiritual journey. And if another comes on your path, whether it be animal, vegetable, or mineral, that you assess whether you are doing your work and whether time is to be taken for other. It's also important to assess who is coming towards you and why. Are they a manipulator? Are they a deceiver? Are they a uncomfortable feelings avoidant one? Your interaction with other has a great impact on them, possibly greater than you realize. So every decision that you make with other does count. Now, there isn't judgment, there are no report cards, and there are no fails. If you have done this or you have a pattern of doing this, and then you judge yourself, please stop. Rather than the regret, shame, guilt, blame, embarrassment, self-pity, any derogatory names towards self, it's better, it is advisable instead to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Rather than give to other, what can I do for self today? It might also be that in your rescuing other from pain and conflict, that you are avoidant of pain and discomfort and conflict. That is often the case of someone who wants to rescue other, because in rescuing self, it involves facing their own issues their pain. We are trained here by society, the media, and such to take a painkiller to avoid and distract from discomfort. And that, I believe, is a misfire. And one can override that, the very powerful forces that deceive and mislead. One can do that by shifting their perception. You are in charge, you are important, and you are here to do spiritual work, as is each soul that is incarnated here. I would also have anyone who believes that they are codependent to ask themselves, how is this taking a toll on me? And how is this taking a toll on other? Regarding self, what am I losing? What am I missing? How do I feel with constantly rescuing other? And am I rescuing self? And the other question, how is this taking a toll on other? If you are able to put yourself in another's shoes, see from their perspective what it's like to have the hand held so much that the pain is not felt. What might they be missing out? What conclusions might they not make as a result of all of those saves? I will leave you with that, and I hope that this assisted. And if codependence is on your marquee, you can rearrange those letters whenever you want, from codependence to independence. You could take down the letters and put up a new phrase to your liking. I am whole, I am healed, I am loved, I am supported, I am blessed. It was a pleasure working with you, sharing with you, and I will see you again. Bye, y'all.